once you've settled your legs and your hips and you're happy with your base and your mid-torso, and then you are able to just open the chest easily, then you're going to work with Jalandhara Bandha. So Jalandhara Bandha is very key for pranayama. And essentially it's really mostly a gesture, a feeling where the frontal brain becomes passive and the forehead, eyes, and chin are lowered to meet the rising chest. It's a very important concept and action to cultivate in pranayama. And so it's said that the rising energy of the in-breath, so the in-breath is expansive and upward, that needs to be redirected downwards, contained within the torso. And that happens from Jalandhara Bandha, from this chin lock. So you perform that chin lock by opening the chest and then extending the chin out, forward and down, and locking onto the notch between the collarbones. When you're working with the Jalandhara Bandha, to keep this area wide, which is very challenging because you're trying to lift the chest up so strongly to lock onto the chin, but you still want to maintain that centered mid area over the base. And then the other thing that can happen is that the weight of the head can drag the shoulders forward and actually collapse the chest, which is definitely not what you want. If you feel like tension or are just unable to lower the chin onto the notch between the collarbones, you can use some rolled material. You can place this between the jaw and the chest, and then make the same gesture of coming out and locking down. You want to try to feel that this support is getting kind of drawn back and up more as you're there. So that's the same with the Jalandhara Bandha without the pad. There's a feeling that this crease that's created actually deepens back and up as you stay there. This can also be a little bit awkward and uncomfortable. So be careful not to clamp down too hard on it and to keep the jaw somewhat receptive. And if you don't care for this, you can just do the gesture of Jalandhara Bandha. So just by simply bowing down, the brain bows down, the eyes lower, the chin lowers. You can do it that way too. But the advantage to this, or to locking onto the notch between the collarbones, is the contact that happens. So there's a real a kind of closing or a sealing that happens that doesn't quite happen as well if you do the gesture of Jalandhara Bandha. So I do recommend either going for the Jalandhara Bandha or using this support to do it. You have three options for Jalandhara Bandha. One is to physically lock onto the notch between the collarbones. One is to lock onto this support, which can be varying heights, more or less as is desired, where you simply create the gesture of the bandha without actually locking onto anything. So you just want to make sure that the choice you make is considered from your base and up the central axis and allows you to stay very centered in your seat and work with the full expansion and contraction of the lungs and ribs and chest.